Lee passed his test when he was just 17. He'd had 11 driving lessons, passed first time, got given the keys to a car, and off he went. Drove like a lunatic. Every time we were in the car with him, we begged him to slow down, we asked him to be more patient and just be a bit more thoughtful on the road, but he was a law unto himself, really. Invariably, he didn't wear a seatbelt, and ultimately it ended when he was 21. He was just 21, and a horrific car crash involving a van, and he subsequently died a week later. I honestly believe if Lee had had the opportunity to listen to this Safe Drive, Stay Alive presentation and listen to the stories that are told, I honestly believe that he may have thought differently about his behaviour on the road. We actually get youngsters come up to us after the presentation and thank us, and they actually express the fact that they've listened and that they will think about what they've heard and what they've seen when they go on the roads themselves. So it's definitely something that's worthwhile. I was first asked to join the Safe Drive Stay Alive team back in 2013, I think, when I was asked to talk at a launch between NHSBT, National Health Service Blood and Transplant, and the fire service. They were launching a partnership. I think that when a youngster gets into a car, they need to be aware that they are in charge of a vehicle that can weigh up to 1.5 tons, and they're not invincible. They need to be sensible. They need to think about what they're doing. They need to have that seatbelt on. They need to ignore their mobile phones. They really need to think about the consequences that behaving in a way that's not appropriate, it can affect all manner of people. It's not just the immediate family. The ripples go on and on. It's endless. It's awful. I think they need to hear more about what can happen to them when they're out in that vehicle. Driving lessons teach them how to drive on a road. It doesn't tell them what can go awfully wrong, and they need to know about that. As a family, we'd never discussed organ donation before the accident. And when we were confronted with the fact that Lee was clinically brainstem dead, and asked if we would consider donating his organs, it was something we'd never discussed, never thought of. So I work passionately now with NHSBT to raise awareness. The fact, even if it's just to stop one family going through what we went through that day when we had to make that decision. It is a decision that we've lived to realise was a very right decision. Several people benefited, and there's a gentleman still alive today because of Lee. So it's an incredible source of comfort to know that. So I think the message to get across to the youngsters today is just the message that the emergency services tried to convey during the Safe Drive presentations, which is the fatal four. And those are mobile phone. No matter who's in the car with you, don't feel pressurised to pick that phone up or to text or to even answer it. I don't know any youngsters that actually leave their mobile phones in their handbags or their pocket, the boot or whatever. I know for a fact most of them carry them in their pockets, in their bags, with them in the car, and it is incredibly difficult. It's just the times we live in, unfortunately. Seatbelts, always wear your seatbelt. Drink and drugs, even be mindful the day after. If you've been out, just be very, very careful. Don't drink or be under the influence and drive. And speeding, that's what ultimately killed Lee. I feel that a little bit more awareness about road safety needs to be out there. Youngsters, it's made too easy these days for youngsters to just get in a car and think they're invincible. I think they need to be taught, the same as they're taught about anything else, they need to be taught about road safety.